The sound of rushing water, the cries of children, and the hopeless looks on parents' faces painted a picture of sorrow. Floods came not as gentle streams, but as monsters tearing through farmlands, destroying crops, sweeping away livestock, and leaving millions without shelter. For many, the memories of their homes were all that remained. In one small village, a mother clutched her infant as the water rose to her chest. She had no boat, no raft, nothing to hold on to but faith. Volunteers from a nearby town risked their lives, tied ropes to their waists, and rushed into the flood just to save her and her baby. In that moment, kindness was not just a choice, it was the only thing that mattered. All across Pakistan, countless stories of loss emerged. Farmers lost their entire year's crops, leaving them with no food to eat and no money to survive. Children sat hungry, their small hands reaching out for bread, but markets were empty, and fields were underwater. Elderly men and women, who had spent their whole lives working, suddenly found themselves without a roof, sleeping under open skies, with only tears to comfort them. And yet, in the middle of all this pain, kindness shined brighter than the sun. Neighbors shared food even when they had little for themselves. Strangers opened their homes to displaced families. Young men formed human chains to rescue those trapped in the currents. Women cooked day and night for people who had lost everything. A man who had lost his own house still carried bags of rice on his shoulders, walking miles to deliver them to a camp where hungry children were crying. When asked why he was helping while being a victim himself, he simply smiled and said, "Because I know the pain, and I cannot let them feel it alone." In the flood camps, children found unexpected angels. Volunteers played with them, gave them toys, and reminded them that even in tragedy, joy could still exist. The sparkle in those children's eyes was not just because of the toys, but because they realized they were not forgotten. Imagine the courage of a boy barely 12 years old who tied empty bottles together to make a raft. With it, he ferried elderly villagers across the rising waters to safety. He was just a child, but his heart was bigger than the waves he fought. That is the power of kindness. International aid arrived slowly, but what was immediate was the humanity of ordinary Pakistanis. Shopkeepers donated whatever goods they had left. Students raised funds and collected clothes. Doctors set up makeshift clinics to treat the injured and prevent disease from spreading. At night, in the darkest hours, when people feared the water might rise again, voices of strangers reassured them, "You are not alone. We are with you." The floods destroyed more than homes, they destroyed dreams. Schools were washed away, books drowned in the muddy waters, and classrooms turned into shelters. But even then, some teachers gathered children under trees, teaching them with nothing but chalk on the ground. They knew that education should not stop, even when everything else had. One of the most heart-touching stories was of a poor rickshaw driver. He had saved money for months to repair his broken vehicle. But when he saw children crying in the flood camp, he spent that money to buy bread and milk for them. He said, "A rickshaw can wait. Their hunger cannot." That single act of sacrifice lit up countless hearts. In another town, a young bride gave away all the jewelry she had received at her wedding. She told her husband, "What use are gold and silver if our people have no food? Let our first gift as husband and wife be kindness." Her husband agreed, and together they fed hundreds. Kindness came from unexpected places too. A boy who had once begged on the streets collected donations by going door to door. He told people, "I know what it feels like to have nothing. Please help me so I can help them." He may not have had wealth, but he had the richest heart. These floods showed that even in darkness, humanity has the power to shine. Yes, Pakistan suffered. Yes, the losses were unimaginable. But what stood tall was the spirit of kindness. Picture the scene. In a camp at night, under the open sky, families gathered around a single lantern. A group of strangers brought warm blankets and food. Children smiled for the first time in days. Old men wept, not out of sorrow, but because they saw hope again. That hope was kindness, pure and simple. The story of these floods is not just about destruction. It is about unity, sacrifice, and love. It is about how ordinary people became heroes. It is about how kindness can rebuild lives even when the waters take everything away. When we look back, we will not only remember the pain of the flood, but also the humanity that rose above it. We will remember the volunteers who gave their lives to save strangers. We will remember the mothers who shared food with other children before feeding their own. We will remember the young people who worked day and night to bring relief. And perhaps most importantly, we will remember that in the face of disaster, kindness is the greatest strength we have. So, if you are listening to this story, ask yourself, what act of kindness can you do today? You don't need to wait for a flood, or a tragedy, to show humanity. Someone around you needs your help, your smile, your support. Be that light in their darkness. Because in the end, the waters may destroy buildings, but kindness builds bridges that last forever. Let us honor those who suffered by becoming kinder. Let us honor those who lost everything by giving what we can. And let us never forget that when Pakistan faced one of its darkest hours, it was kindness that kept the nation alive. This is not just a story of a flood. It is a story of hearts united by love, of people proving that humanity is stronger than any disaster, and of kindness that will be remembered long after the waters have gone.